or go.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be working on creating a zombie special effects. So I have all the things that we need, and my lovely assistant Rebecca here. At any point, you can totally pause the video, so that way, if things are going too fast. So the materials that you're going to need are basic. Most can be found around the house. I have tissue paper. You can even use toilet paper, Elmer's glue. I have my latex. If you have an allergy to latex, you can use Elmer's glue instead. I'll go over that. I have foundation. I have eyeshadow, lipstick, a popsicle stick, Q-tip, paper clip, cotton ball, a mirror just so you can see what you're doing. And I do have some example pieces as well. So like, yes, you can save these so you can start up your own scab collection. Okay, so when I get started, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Elmer's glue, and just a little bit. So when you're working with glue, just like with anything, the more Elmer's glue you use, the longer it's going to take to dry. So I'm decided that we talked about this, and we're going to debating where we should put this. And I had too much glue and it dripped on her shirt. So that's another thing. That's a very important thing with the latex. You do not want to get that on your clothes. So I'll go over things as we're doing this. So as you can see, I put a bunch of Elmer's glue. I spread it around, so it's not a whole lot. So keep it like that. Keep it like that. Okay, so now I have my tissue paper, and I'm going to cut it up into small little pieces. I'm tearing it up because I want the frayed edges, and I'm going to place it over all of the glue. You can create more on your face. You can create it on your arm. You can do it. Try to avoid along your hairline, your eye, your mouth, and your neck. Mostly your mouth and your neck, because if you're moving as you're doing this, it'll wrinkle and it won't set. If you do it, you want to get it in your hair. If you get it in your hair and the latex dries, you're going to have to pull it out or it's going to be bad. So don't do that. Also, try to wear old clothes that you don't care much for. If you get latex and it drips onto your clothes, let it dry. Don't smear it. I've done that. I've had that mistake. Don't smear it. So let it dry, and then you can peel it off. So I'm taking my popsicle stick, and I'm spreading it on. And I'm spreading it all over, and I'm covering every single bit of the tissue paper. And I'm going beyond the tissue paper and onto her skin. Again, if you have an allergy to latex, you could just use Elmer's glue. And you can use Elmer's glue, again, very, very thin and in a similar way. So I always like to think of this as buttering toast. So when you butter toast, do you want toast with only a tiny bit of that's got butter on it? No, got to butter that whole thing. Okay. So once I get that first coat of latex on, I'm ready to put on my second coat of tissue paper. And again, I'm going to take that tissue paper and I'm going to cover up the whole area. What I don't want to do is I don't want to take this tissue paper and have it stick out and have even a little bit or a big piece sticking off and going beyond. Because then your wound is going to get bigger and bigger. And it's going to get out of control and you're not going to be able to totally take care of it. So here we go. This is the second coat. Again, keep it thin. The thinner it is, the quicker it will dry, and you want to keep it thin, especially around the edge where the tissue paper comes to an end, where you have the latex touching the skin, because you want it to look more natural. If it's very clumpy and it looks very big, it's not going to look very natural. And Rebecca, if you have any comments or things you want to chime in, you can.
I'm good.
Okay. So I'm on my third coat of tissue paper, and this is going to be my final coat. So this is, again, just one example. You can do multiple ones on your face. I have a couple of pictures that I'll show you of things that I've done in the past. So I got my third coat going on. And I'm not going too thick. And she's very good at moving her face around, so I don't have to worry. It's not wrinkling up. It's going on very well. All right, so that's it. We're done with the latex. It's drying on. Maybe if I go in just a tiny bit and spread it around, just a little bit. Again, I'm trying to be very careful not to get close to her eye. Okay, I like that. All right, so while that's drying, I do want to show a couple of examples that I've done in the past. So here's, I took pictures of myself, big cuts and gashes and bruises that I've done. So things like that. This one I had a splitting headache. Okay, don't move. Okay, so you could really play around with it. You can add a whole bunch of different materials to it. This one I had a shaving accident. You can do the bullet hole thing. Maybe I could show that one too. And I will show how to use fake blood with that. That's the last step. Everybody always gets it to that. Okay, so actually, if I was going to do a bullet hole, I'm just going to take a tiny dab and just put a tiny bit right there. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit. So the next step is I'm going to take foundation. So you can get this at the dollar store. There's different shades. Find the one that works best for you, for your skin tone. For me, it's more of the darker one. The dark one, there's medium, and then this is the light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit on and apply it onto her. Oh wait, do I want to do that first? Because I could do that. You know what? Hold on 1 second. I've jumped the gun. And that's okay if things like that happen. So, because if you mess up, you could always go back in and you can do it again. You can keep these, you can reuse them, and you can play around with it. Okay, so here I have my paper clip. I opened it up. So I have my little point. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick at the latex. Now, because of the tissue paper being added on there, when I tear it, it creates a nice effect, and it looks like really torn up flesh. Go in with my hand here. If you're doing this by yourself, I would recommend do it in your bathroom, or do it so that way you have a mirror. And try to tear as much as you can. I used all of this part of her face for the wound, so use the whole thing up. Tiny bit towards a little bit of latex. Okay. So now that I have that all done, I have her big tear. Now I'm going to go in and I can use lipstick, or if you have black body paint, like you get at the Halloween store, you can use that. So this I'm going to put and smear on the inside of her wound. So that you can use lipstick if you have a little bit of I have the black body paint. I love this stuff. Oh, this one's near empty. I love it a lot. I take this, I can smear it in. The fact that the color is off, like this is very dark, doesn't bother me, because this is the first layer. So this is the interior wound, so that it looks like that's not a big deal. So of course this one's nice and empty. And you want variation in your cut. Okay. All right. So now that I have this all taken care of, so now I'm ready to go with the foundation. My fingers are getting pretty dirty, pretty messy already. So I got my foundation. So I'm going to apply with my finger and start to smear it around. And you want to get all of the latex, and you want to go beyond the latex, and you want to get it onto the skin as well. Now, I think Rebecca's much better at makeup than I am, but I'm going to have her take a look in a second, and if she wants to try to blend, she can. So if you would like to.
Oh yeah.
So I used quite a bit. You don't need to use that much. You can always add more. I can't put this extra back into the container. Okay. So after you get the foundation on, now we're going to go in with, I have my eyeshadow, and I can just take some of this. I like to just take it, and you can add this in to really play around with the idea of the wound. So this can go everywhere. You could do like scratch. I'm using a little bit on my fingernail, and I do like scratch marks. Because we're a zombie. We're the dead here. So try to create it as variable as possible. And you can, yeah, go all over. So sometimes what I like to do is I like to do it underneath the eye. So that way it looks like when you see like a zombie, with the sunken in eyes. So I'm only going to do it, sorry about that, up there, but you can do it here as well. So to create that sunken in effect. And you could even go onto the neck. I'm not going to do that. No, I should. Because this is a tutorial. We want to show it. So I still see some bits of white, which I don't like. So I should really try to cover that up. So now, I have a couple other things. I can go back with the lipstick and I can add this on. Let's see what color this one is. Oh, this one's a little bit later. So again, I think the variation can really play in well. Okay. So now, let me see what we got. It's a little light. And I have one other thing that I can use. And this is, I have some colored makeup here where I can add that in as well. And if you go to the Halloween type store, you can find these things. So I can really make it look like a bruise. Again, you don't need much. The last step, I'm going to go in with my Q-tip and my fake blood, and I'm going to start to apply that. You can really go inside. You can really get it good in there. But not just on the inside. So like definitely want it on the inside, but I can put it on the edges, on the outside. And if you let it build up, you can get it to drip. If you want to go into my bullet hole. So if I just take a Q-tip, or I can take a pencil and just rub it around in the center there, I can dent it so it looks like a bullet hole. And then I can go in, once again, I can take a little bit of the black didn't add foundation, but you could do that. Take a tiny bit of the foundation. And then I take a little bit of, again, the fake blood. If I let it pool up, it will start to drip. So there we go. I think that's it. So again, if you're interested, you could go in and you could do this as many times as you want. You could go in with different pieces, like I have my cotton ball. So if I took my cotton ball and if I tore it up, and I can place that on and color that in as well, so it looks a little bit more meatier. So it gets some nice depth in there, some volume onto it. Okay, so there you have it. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have a great Halloween, and yeah, zombieify yourselves.